everybody. Welcome to Thursday night of Renewal Week. Shh. We're being very quiet. Mark, he's put himself to bed. Look at him. Before he fell asleep, he left us our egg for story time. So it's nighttime, and we have this plant here because we're pretending that we're in a garden. What would you see in a garden at night? Maybe you would see an owl, or a raccoon, or fireflies. Shh. Be quiet. Yes, maybe any of those things. Well, Jesus and the disciples were in the Garden of Gethsemane in our story for tonight. So let's see what's in our egg, and that will give us a clue as to what they were doing. Shh. Shh. Here we go. Oh, here we go. Do you see those? These are praying hands. Okay. So, Jesus and the disciples were in the garden, and it looks like they might have been praying. Let's read about that story. Before we go to story time, I need to tell you that if you are from first grade to fifth grade, you could open up to Mark chapter 14 and read all about this story right from the Bible yourself. Before we begin, let's listen to our key verse. It's from Mark 14, verse 36. Abba, Father, all things are possible for you. Remove this cup from me, yet not what I will, but what you will. There's also 3 special words I want you to listen for in the story tonight. 3 special words. Ready? When you hear them, I want you to put your hand on your heart. See if you can remember to do that. Okay. Shh. Here are the 3 special words. Ready? I trust you. Okay, that's it. So we have praying hands, Mark chapter 14, and the words, I trust you. Okay, let's go to story time.
Hi, New City kids. My name is Kayleen, and today we'll be reading from the Jesus Storybook Bible, written by Sally Lloyd-Jones and illustrated by Jago. The story title today is A Dark Night in the Garden, and it was taken from several books from Luke 22, Mark 14, and John 18. The wind was picking up now, blowing clouds across the moon, shrouding the garden in darkness. Stay up with me? Jesus asked his friends. They said yes and waited under the olive trees. But they were tired, and they soon fell asleep. Jesus walked ahead, alone, into the dark. He needed to talk to his heavenly Father. He knew it was time for him to die. They had planned it long ago, he and his Father. Jesus was going to take the punishment for all the wrong things anybody had ever done or ever would do. Papa, Father, Jesus cried, and he fell to the ground. Is there any other way to get your children back, to heal their hearts, to get rid of the poison? But Jesus knew there was no other way. All the poison of sin was going to have to go into his own heart. God was going to pour into Jesus' heart all the sadness and the brokenness in people's hearts. He was going to pour it into Jesus' body, all that sickness in people's bodies. God was going to have to blame his son for everything that had gone wrong it would crush Jesus. But there was something else, something even more horrible. When people run away from God, they lost God. It was what happened when they ran away. Not being close to God was like a punishment. Jesus was going to take that punishment. Jesus knew what that meant. He was going to lose his Father. And that, Jesus knew, would break his heart in two. Violent sobs shook Jesus' whole body. And then Jesus was quiet, like a lamb. I trust you, Papa, he said. Whatever you say, I will do. Suddenly, through the trees, a glitter of starlight flashed off steel. Into the quiet garden came whispers, muffled voices and clanking metal, the sound of boots marching. Jesus stood up. He woke his friends. Now is the time, he said gently. Everything that was written about me, what God had been telling his people all through the long years, it's all coming true. And into the night, with burning torches and lanterns and swords and clubs and armor, they came, an army of soldiers. Judas led them straight to Jesus so they could arrest him. Jesus was waiting for them. Peter leapt up and took a sword and tried to defend Jesus. He sliced off a guard's ear, and Jesus immediately touched the guard and healed him. Peter, he said, this is not the way. Peter didn't realize that no army, no matter how big, could ever arrest Jesus, not unless Jesus let them. Then Jesus, who had never done anything except love people, was arrested as if he was a criminal. Jesus' friends were afraid, so they ran away and hid in the dark shadows. The guards marched Jesus off and took him to the leaders, and the leaders put Jesus on trial. Are you the Son of God? They asked. I am, Jesus said. Who do you think you are to call yourself God? You must die for calling yourself the Son of God. Only the Romans were allowed to kill prisoners, so the leaders made a plan. We'll tell the Romans this man wants to be our king, and then they'll crucify him. But it would be all right. It was God's plan. It was for this reason that I was born into the world, Jesus said.
Thank you, Miss Kayleen, for reading that story for us. Jesus knew he had to die. It was the only way that he could bring us, his treasure, back to God. What were those 3 words that he said to God his Father? They were, I trust you. So you might want to end tonight with a family prayer. And if you visit in the description box below and you go to the playlist, you might want to listen to the song, You Are God. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see you tomorrow.